Good evening, everyone. Apologies for our tardiness, but Georgia, in this very interesting weather, knocked all my power out. And since it decided to come back on, here we are. So thank you in advance for joining us. We appreciate your time. We are going to go ahead and run our intro, and we will be right back. All right, everyone. Thank you again for joining us. We appreciate it. And we are going to jump right in this conversation. As I said before I did the intro, my power went out, of course, right before the show. Hello, Lisa. Thanks for joining us. And so it set us back a little bit. But here we are, and we are ready to talk. So with me, I have Shanetta McNair,
Hi.
and we have Katrina Taylor, who might just be a little frozen. Nope. Okay, well, on the bottom screen, that is Katrina Taylor. Oh, there you go. No?
I can see her moving.
Can you hear us?
Hi. I'm frozen, I think.
It's like a delay. Yeah. I see her moving though.
I can hear, but you're frozen.
Oh, okay. And for us, you're interesting right now.
Try again.
Okay, guys, as you see, tonight is just full of some unexpected surprises. But we are going to make the best of the situation and move forward as best we can. You know, technology, unfortunately, we have no control over it. So we're going to control what we can, which is going to be this conversation. All right. So let me just give everybody a backdrop. So I'm sure either you've seen the Monique video or you've heard about it with her speaking to the young ladies or younger women or just women in general that she's seen, um, with the bonnets and the pajamas outside. And she expressed her opinion and how she felt. Watching that video, it led me to, of course, I went through several of the comments. I wanted to see what the conversation was and see how people felt, kind of on both sides. Now, I don't necessarily want to talk particularly about the video. One of the comments under the video is actually what caught my eye. And the comment said, let me get it right because I want to. It said, when elders can't speak, nations die. And when I read that comment, it kind of was like a wow moment for me because I kind of, was thinking, past just history, how there was always a prophet or an elder that spoke to the people, that, gave guidance or correction or whatever. Now, naturally, Monique may or may not be considered an elder to most people, and that's fine. Again, like I said, the video is not particularly about her, but it just made me think about our current community and culture of that community. And for the most part, regardless of how old you are, you really can't say anything to anybody. It doesn't, like, never mind correction. Like you can't even, sometimes just make a comment to some. Things go terribly left. I've seen people curse out people's grandmothers. I've seen people, disrespect grandmothers and the older people in our community. And so I kind of want to talk about that. Like, have we gone deaf to the voice of our elders? And maybe also, what do you consider an elder? Because up to this point, I always felt like an elder was just someone that was older than you. You don't necessarily have to look up to them. I was taught you respect them. So that's kind of how I've always felt. Like, I don't have to agree with you. I may even think you're wrong, but I'll allow you that space to say what you have to say, and I'll kind of keep moving. And I wanted to know you guys' opinion on that. Do you feel like in today's culture that we listen to or even hear the voice of our elders? And also, if you have a different perception of what an elder is, let us know that as well. So, Shanetta, let's start with the easy part. What do you consider an elder to be?
So I definitely would agree with you and say that it's going to be someone that I would consider older than me. Um, I think as a younger person, when I was a lot younger, it would be, I guess, those you consider to be considerably older than you.
Okay.
And maybe not necessarily a peer, but someone, a true, like if I was a teenager, of course, anybody that was a true adult. Um, but if it's like my older cousin who's like 5 or 6 years older than me, then like not really, because you're a kid just like me pretty much at that time. So my consideration of an elder, I guess, as an adult, is very different. And I would like, but I also have a respect factor for people who may not even necessarily be older than me,
Okay.
but may display a certain type of characteristic that causes for me to display a certain level of, reverence or respect to them, maybe because of position, or because of, because things, change. Like in being in the church, you kind of may have people who, like, maybe there's an elder who's younger, an actual titled elder, who is younger than you, or a missionary or evangelist who is younger than you, but because of their title, you give them a certain, level of respect because of that. So for me, I think it can kind of go both ways now in adult life, but I've always been taught to kind of be respectful of those that are, older than me. And it's something that I maintain
Right.
even as an adult.
I will say, my mom had me at a young age. So, like, my uncles and aunts are like 4 or 5 years older than me.
Mm-hmm.
Like, my youngest aunt, I think, is maybe 4, 5 years older than me. Even on my dad's side as well, my uncle's like 5 years older than me. So, even though I was like maybe 5 and they were 10, like I grew up, I guess, with a certain level of respect for them. So I think,
Yeah.
maybe for me, it doesn't have to be considerable. But in general, like you said, I try. I'll say I try because I'm sure I'm not, well, I know I'm not perfect at it. Like I try to give everyone some level of respect. I mean,
Yeah.
even, regardless of your age, I definitely try to respect people just on the strength of, my character, who I am, and
Yeah.
because I want to be viewed a certain way. But like,
Right.
um, hi, Pastor Jackson. And so even her, so Lisa Jackson, Pastor Lisa Jackson, let me get it right. I grew up with her in church. She's older than me. She's actually Katrina's older sister.
Mhm.
So she's older than me. She ran the youth ministry. When I was like young and a teenager, she was like Miss Lisa.
Right.
Now that now that I'm almost 45 and I have a whole family and all of that, um, you know, I tend not to call her Miss Lisa anymore. She's my kid's godmother.
Mhm.
When it's just her and I just call her her name. But
Right.
in front of other people, because she is also a co-pastor, like, I show her that respect
Right.
because, I would never want to be the person to facilitate any kind of disrespect to her.
Exactly. Yeah.
Um, but she's also always carried herself in a manner that's worthy of respect.
Mhm.
So is that a factor? Like, do you have to feel like um, the person is worthy of respect? Like, where
I
do you think uh the breakdown is now with our community?
For me, I would say no, they don't have to necessarily be worthy of it. I'll tell you one particular thing that I do. I work with kids, and I even give like there will be times where one of my kids will, call my name or something, and I'll say, yes, ma'am, yes, sir, um, to the kids because it's a respect factor for them and showing them that, I respect you as a person. But it also teaches them how to
Right.
respond when someone calls their name or tries to gain their attention. So it's just something that I naturally do. So it doesn't even have to be like I could think that you're like the most low down, dirty, rotten scoundrel person, and if you have a title, I'm going to address you by your title. I'm probably going to respond to you with yes ma'am or yes sir in a conversation, and I'm probably not going to be, because that's just my personality to kind of
Right.
be respectful of, anybody. Because I'm not walking around trying to be, flip or, just outright disrespectful or nasty to any. I think in our communities now, I think it starts at home. And I
Okay.
think that there are some people, and there is like even the whole yes ma'am, yes sir type of thing. There are people that are of the mindset that you teach kids to say yes ma'am and yes sir, and this is how you respond and speak to people. And then there are people who say, well, sir and ma'am is too much. They don't have to do all that. They don't have to use those titles. And then you have children that walk around calling adults by their first name with no, miss or mister in front of it or anything. They just call them by their names. And I think that comes from home training.
Okay.
When I was younger, until I'm a full grown woman with kids that are pretty much full grown, but I dare not go to my dad's sister's house and just start calling my aunties by their first names.
Right.
Not if I don't want to be on the floor. Because I'm like, I think some gonna come, flying at me, a shoe or something. Like I'm gonna be trying to duck and dodge, like, no, ma'am, but it's what was taught. It's what was
Right.
embedded in me as a young person. So it's also what, is taught in the home. Whatever you're teaching in your home is what children and people in our communities is what they go out and do. I have my kids have friends and they're either calling me Mrs. McNair, Miss Shanetta, or Mom, pretty
Right.
much. They're gonna go straight to, whatever the kids call me. Um, but there's not, because of how they're raised and because of how they're taught, that's where I think the respect factor comes in with what we do. But if you have kids whose parents are just walking around just saying anything and everything to anybody, you kind of get what you get from them.
Right. Trina said, I definitely have to teach some daycare kids to say yes and not what or ha.
Yep.
Shaking my head. You're
Yeah.
right. And she said, oh, school age kids. Absolutely. Like sometimes, even my kids, I say something, they say, how? Who are you talking to? Like,
Mm-hmm.
did you forget where you are? You're at home. So
Right.
let's remember what you're taught in the house. So I definitely agree with you. It is definitely what we're taught. at home. You know, I used to always think that because I was from New York, you know, my mom never taught me the whole yes, ma'am, yes, sir. You know, of course it was yes and no, but even like friends I had, I never really heard yes, sir, yes, ma'am, in their homes. And I always thought like that's a Southern thing. Like,
That's what I was gonna say, a Southern versus Northern thing. Yeah.
right. So, you know, we were definitely taught, like my mom was big on respect. Like, yeah. I was about to say something that's about to get me in trouble. And I'm almost 45. She was definitely big on respect. And, you know, everybody was always miss or, you know, sister this or, you know, sister that. So I was definitely taught that growing up. Even some of her friends now that are like second moms to me, like I still sometimes call them Miss, you know, Miss Linda or Miss Elaine or, you know, Mama this or Mama that, because, you know, just out of respect.
Right.
And although I don't think it would too much bother them, I don't know. I don't really want to find out either.
Right.
You know, like I never even think about just, hey, such and such.
Right.
You know, like it's just something, like you said, that was ingrained in me, you know, as a child growing up, like that you always have to be respectful. But like I've had kids playing in my yard and I go outside and they cussing. And I was like, oh, like your mama like I've asked the kid before, your mom let you say that? Yep. And I said,
I'm the person where I don't care that your mama let you say that. Like I'm definitely going, like I'll be at a track meet or some other kind of sporting event and kids will be around and, you know, you just hear them flipping and talking and cussing. I'm somebody's mama and I'm gonna need you to like fix your mouth, fix your language. I was at a track meet a couple of years ago with my son and heard some kids from another team. They were just cussing and just talking, just foul. And I was like, absolutely not. So I corrected them and then I found their coaches. Right. And I was like, listen, I don't know what y'all teaching over here at this school, but y'all need to get these kids. This is not how they should be talking in front of people's parents. And you got a whole group of parents sitting right here and they just like flip at the mouth and saying, cussing like they, you know, 45 years old or something. Like they shouldn't be talking like this. And that coach dug into them because it's a matter of respect. Absolutely. And you might say all that when you hanging out with your friends, you might talk like that but you really have to know. And I think that's what kids lack now is that they don't even know when to turn it off, when to, like they don't know how to switch back and forth. I can remember, you know, just hearing stories about how people will be walking past the church. And as they're walking past the church, they, you know, take off their hat or stop smoking or, you know, whatever, or even, you know, kind of quiet down their speech or, you know, whatever they're talking about. And I think that those are things that probably were in older generations that our kids kind of miss now, especially with being so, I think, broad and spread out. I think kids miss some of those good old fashioned lessons of watch your mouth.
Right, Trina, like you said, definitely keep the sister in front. Like that is always a thing. I've found myself a lot having to tell kids like, okay, well, when you come down here to my yard, when you step foot in this yard, we don't talk like that. Like, you know, we don't say that. We don't do that here. You can't do that here. You know, and just because of the relationship that I've had with those parents, you know, that's gone over well. But, you know, I've seen, you know, incidences where you've corrected someone's child and it turns, you know, into something else. So like in those situations, you know, what do you do? Like, where do you go from there? Like, do you say, okay, next time I'm not even going to bother? Or, you know, or is it just like, oh, well, you'll have to suck it up because this is what it is? Like, what do you do when you have one of those experiences where a child is clearly in the wrong, but then the parent is just as in the wrong as the kid?
I think it's knowing your audience and knowing who you are dealing with. It may be pointless to even deal with the parent at all, but maybe more so saying something like, well, when they're in my presence, I'm going to correct it. And what we're not going to have is them being in my presence, talking like this or behaving this way, or addressing me without putting Miss in front of my name or sister in front of my name. Now, if you don't want me to correct them, then you need to keep them away from me, because I'm going to correct them while they're around me. Versus arguing back and forth with a person who has no respect either.
Right.
And that's like, I mean, because I think you can tell fairly quickly like what you're dealing with and who you're dealing with, to the point where you can say, even if you don't say it out loud, you kind of know what you're dealing with. And I think kids crave for people to show them right from wrong. I think they even try stuff and they push the limits just to see if you're going to, say something to them or correct them, because maybe they don't have that at home and they see, that your kids are quite respectful and they desire for you to correct them the way you correct their kids. And that's one thing about me, is that it doesn't matter where I am. If I need to correct a kid, there are moments where I will literally have to stop myself in like Walmart or the grocery store from talking to somebody's random child, because I'm like, listen, hey, stop doing that.
Right.
Get from under the backs. Where is your mama?
Yeah,
but that's just, that's me.
Right. I find myself in plenty of those situations where Anthony's like, Sam, don't. And I'm like, look, this is ridiculous. Like,
right.
Somebody needs to say something. And
right.
It should be me right now.
Right now. I'm going to say it.
Right. That's kind of how I feel. Like, I remember a couple of years ago, one Sunday, I went to church, and in the rush to not be late for service, I left my jacket at home, but I had on like a shirt, something like this.
Mm-hmm.
And I was already really, really conscious about it. So I'm like, I'm just going to, stay in the back and kind of stay away from everybody. Because, people be all in their feelings, about your arm and something, some deacon going to hell over seeing your arm.
Them arms and them kneecaps do it, girl.
Right. And, one of the mothers of the church came to me and she started in on the, my arms being out. And I was saying, well, I didn't mean to leave my jacket at the house, but I did. So we just got to go for it. And she just kept going. I mean, she had like dug her heels in. And I was like, okay, I know, I'll make sure. And she kept going. And then she knows my mom, like knows of my mom, not like know her really. But she was like, well, what if she knows my mom's pastor, old pastor anyway. She was like, what if I called up there to your mom's pastor and have him tell your mother what you're wearing to church? And before I knew it, it was just, I had, I was like, well, I would tell my mother that I'm over 40 and I can pretty much wear what I want. And I walked away because I in my heart, like, I really didn't want to be disrespectful, but she just wouldn't stop.
Yeah.
I mean, like, I feel like there's a way to correct people.
Yeah.
Like once I said, oh, I left my jacket at home, it wasn't intentional. That should have been enough.
Right.
Like, you don't have to, I feel like there's a way, to
yeah, definitely.
There's a way to correct people. And I don't know. She wouldn't stop. And then of course, when I said it, she looked like I had called her a few names or whatever, but I kind of felt like you earned that. You walked straight into that. You didn't have,
you walked into it. Yeah.
Right. Like eyes wide shut, right into that. Yeah. And I think we have to be mindful of how we correct people. And sometimes, you know what, even with the best intentions, some people don't want to be corrected. So, I mean, I think there's always a chance that it could go wrong. Like,
yeah. And I had one of those, I had a moment like that with the church mother as well. It was during a really rough time for me. And I know you know a little bit about the time, this one time where we ventured out, we started a business, and we had closed it, and it was kind of like a devastating process to close the business, and it was like really rough, and I was having like a really difficult time with it, but I was processing it, and
Right.
I was getting through it, and like working on me and getting through the hurt, the disappointment, all that kind of stuff. And people who knew me knew that I was putting the smile on, but I was really working through some things. And so a church mother came to me and she was like, "So y'all close the business?" And I was like, "Yes, ma'am," just respectful, and kind of moving my way through the crowd, like trying to keep going, but I could tell she was still continuing. She was like, "I was gonna tell you when you first opened that business that you shouldn't have." I said, "Oh, no, that's not what we're doing. We're not gonna do that." And she was like, "I'm just trying to tell you, you should have never opened it. We're not gonna do that. Listen, I'm trying not to be disrespectful, so I'm gonna leave, and I know I'm about to get in trouble because I'm cutting you off, and I know you're gonna go tell pastor on me because I'm cutting you off right now, but I don't want to hear what you're about to say because that's not gonna help me in this moment."
Right.
And it was like she just kept, pushing and trying to, tell me what her, and I'm like, "No, ma'am, like you don't kick somebody when they down, like
Right.
you just like." It's like you're like, "Okay, she down on the ground. Let me kick her a couple of times and let me, spit on her too while she's down there." And I'm like, "No, ma'am, I'm not gonna let you do this to me right now. So I'm gonna walk away." And it took everything within me, to continue remaining respectful while trying to pretty much shut down the conversation.
Right.
So I can definitely see how we can be too pushy sometimes in us trying to correct people, but I think you really have to be mindful of who you're correcting, and what you're correcting them on, or what you're saying to them in the moment of whatever, so that they can remain respectful. Because I think we can do it too, we can be the same way with teenagers and with kids that we're trying to correct, where we have to kind of be mindful of how we're correcting somebody and what we're saying to them, not just randomly shooting off every little thing. Even with our own kids, like, we have to be thoughtful in how we correct, because you're not trying to kill somebody with the correction, or with what you have to say or your opinion. You just, want to get it out there.
Right. And Trina said, not just older, but wisdom is needed. Absolutely. Mm-hmm. And I think sometimes older is all they got. Yeah. I mean, that may seem harsh, but I think sometimes older is all they got. I don't think they've really, what does the scripture say? Him that lack wisdom, let him ask, or I'm paraphrasing, probably wrong, but the general thought behind that one.
We got the idea.
Right. Yeah, like I don't think some have taken the time to ask God for the wisdom, and then wisdom in the situation. And like you said, knowing your audience, knowing who you're talking to. I can say a lot of times, if you come to me in the right way, I'll be like, ugh, okay. Like it's like, ugh, but okay, fine. Lisa said, Pastor Jackson said, some grow older but not wiser. Right. I can take it. I may not like it, and you may get a little, one of those, because sometimes the truth and correction can be harsh. Like just in a sense that it's the truth and it hits you right where you are. Yeah. So sometimes, as long as you come to me properly, you'll get but generally, I'm the type that, I can say, you're right. I may not say it that day. I may need to walk away, with my little hurt feelings and go, and go process it and think it through. But I usually can admit that, when I'm wrong. He said, I'm sorry, but nobody is above correction. Elders sometimes feel as though they're beyond correction. I'm not taking that high road, but I might lessen the blow. Right. And you're right. I think correction sometimes has to go both ways. I think that even deepens the respect for somebody. Because sometimes when I can say, okay, mother, not right now. and you can say, okay, we'll revisit this later. You know, that can deepen my respect for you because
Right.
you've taken the time to hear me say,
Yeah.
you know, I want to hear what you're saying, but I'm just not in a place to receive it today.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
so I think you're right. Correction has to be, you know, where everybody can take it. And sometimes, unfortunately, our elders, they want to give a lot of it, but they don't want to take it. I
Right.
remember once when I was like a teenager, we used to ride a bus to church. And one of the days on the bus, my mother saw somebody she knew. And why did she holler out the church bus window? So I didn't say anything. Mind you, she had fussed at us plenty of times about, you know, hollering at the window to friends or whatever. And I wasn't brave enough to say anything to her, but I was waiting for the next opportunity because I'm the smart kid. The one you got to smack me for me to get it sometimes. Sure enough, a couple of times later, saw somebody I know, I'm like, hey. And she said, if you don't sit your hollering out the window. And before I knew it, I said, well, you did it. And as
I'm
soon
surprised I met you.
right. As soon as she turned around and smacked me upside the head, she said, you do as I say, not as I do. And I remember in my mind thinking, because I was not brave enough to say it, like, that's so hypocritical, though. Like, how do I listen to you? And that's how you feel about stuff. Now, of course, I never said it because you're right. You probably would not have met me. But I remember thinking in that moment, that whole do as I say, not as I do.
Yeah.
I was like, that's so...
That puts me in the mind. I'm gonna take it back to the video that we initially started talking about with Monique.
Right.
And it kind of puts me in the mind of two things with the video. One thing is what she was saying in the video about the elders, you know, correcting the younger ladies and all that kind of stuff about their appearance and about, you know, how they're coming out in public looking, and the how and how we do that, and in the gentleness in the approach of it. But the second thing that it reminds me of with the video is the first thing I was listening to her, but I had a hard time hearing her.
Right, because she had on a robe.
She had on a robe. Like, you gonna sit here and try to tell everybody how they should look when they go in public. Damn, you're before the masses in your robe. I don't like that. So I mean,
I will say I did see a lot of people made that comment, but I kind of felt that was like, you kind of missing the forest for the trees. I mean, because here's the thing. Well, she clearly said in the beginning she was getting ready for a show.
So she on a t-shirt and talk to me before you start talking to me about a body. Take that robe off.
Right, but she was getting prepared for something, and like Trina said, I think she was in a hotel, but she wasn't like in public. She didn't purposely leave her home dressed in her pajamas with a bonnet on her head. Listen, I'm gonna say this. So,
if I came on this show with my bonnet on tonight, you'll be like, "It's cool because I'm at my house."
No, but that's not okay. That's not the same as we're scheduled every Tuesday at 8:30. So for you to make a conscious decision to come on with your bonnet, like, of course I wouldn't say anything to you on live, but you would notice my face would be like, and I'd be sending messages like, yeah, like, like, you know, how you feeling? Like, I mean, there's been several times when I get on here and you'll see like I got on a wig and it might even be crooked in the moment, but I have thrown that wig on because I know, you know, I'm going to be doing this, and I try not to come on with my headscarf on. You know, some days you tie the headscarf on to what you think is cute, you know, and you go about your business. But I'm just saying, you know, she's not one of my favorite people. You know, she just all right, like that, but that's most celebrities for me. Like, I'm not overly fascinated with any of them. They just
yeah.
right. They're just people, like for me. But I understood what she said. Like I've been out and my 11-year-old, she's like, "Mommy, look," and let's don't. You know what I had to say to her? Don't look. Or I'll
Right.
say, this is a perfect example of what I never want to see you look like.
Yes.
You know, like I took those moments and created teachable moments where I'm
Teachable
telling
moments.
her, right, where I'm telling her, when you leave the house, I want you to look and feel your best.
Yeah.
Now, I mean, some days you may not feel your best, but you can look your best.
You can look it.
Maybe
But how you look is going to improve how you feel too,
right.
most times. So like put on what you
Yeah.
have to put on, do what you have to do to fix it. Get up, put some clothes on. Make it look good. Make yourself look nice.
He said when Monique starts her video, "Hey, my sweet babies," I'm automatically turned off. She makes valid points in her video, though. I will agree with this. That whole, "Hey, my sweet babies," "Hey, my darlings," it seems very unauthentic for me. Like, it doesn't seem like that part of it is genuine. I don't know. Like, maybe it's just me, but when she says it, it doesn't make you feel like, oh, auntie. No.
I don't, and I see that's what for me, when I said
Right.
I don't really see her as an elder, and I think maybe that's the same feel. So it's just kind of like you're not gonna call your girlfriends, "Hey, my sweet babies," because you know, like, so I think maybe you might have the same feel that I have, where you don't really see her as the auntie per se. She's just
absolutely
right. So I think it makes that part hard to hear, but she does have good points.
right.
Like, I mean, yeah, I would agree with any of the points.
The part that struck out was, like I said, because I've seen it so much. And then, here's my thing. Like, they make cute bonnets. Let's just be honest. Now they make stylish ones. They make ones with stuff on it. They make bedazzled ones. You don't see those in public.
You don't.
The bonnets you see in public be like linked to the side, look like they stepped on it for a week, and it's like, the elastic is just hanging out of it. It looked like it stank. I mean, it just...
You just look like you rolled out of the bed and went on to the Walmart or to wherever
absolutely.
You're going. It's just
rolled out. Like, I've seen people because I'm in Georgia, that's right, in Atlanta, whatever, full pajamas. In the store.
Yes, ma'am. Year round.
And I'm like,
yes, ma'am.
Why? Like, why? Are you full pajamas and
the slippers and all? Like the slippers and everything. Yes, ma'am. And I literally, like, even when we go on road trips and you dress really comfortable for the road trip. And me and my daughter, we would have, gotten our hair done for the trip that we're taking or whatever. So of course, during the ride, you're just in the car.
Right.
So you want to, have it. Now for me, because I'm in the front, the car that we had traveled in previously didn't have front tinted windows. So for me, once daylight hit, that bonnet had to come off. So I'm not even riding in the car with the bonnet on because I can be seen through the front window. Like, you in the back, you can't really. So you want to sleep, and she would sleep a lot of the, car ride anyway. But my thing was, we stopping at the gas station. We're going to the restroom. We're going in to get food. Take the bonnet off your head before you get in this car. That's
absolutely.
not. You cannot travel in your pajama pants. You can travel in some stretch pants, some jogging pants, but you cannot travel in your pajama pants because when we get out the car, you have on these pajamas, and that's not going to be acceptable for this road trip. So it was just things that she knew, things that, my daughter has been taught over the years. And even for me, like, I might wrap my hair to go to sleep. But when we, sit the seats up and get out the car for, our breaks, take all that stuff off. Even if I have to take pins and curls out of my head just to go to the bathroom for 5 minutes, it is what it is. But what we're not going to do is go in this store or this restaurant with these bonnets on our head.
Right. I've seen people out to eat. You're right. Like, how you in the restaurant like that? And who brought you? Like, who came with you that didn't care enough to say, baby, you don't want to check it out or something? I don't know. Like, again, like I said, for me, Monique is not really like a role model or whatever, but I can say she made some very valid points to
Definitely.
I feel like, as a society, we're already looked at as being less than whatever. And I feel like things like that just further cements,
Yeah.
why we shouldn't be treated any better.
Yeah.
No, perception, like, I don't know. I don't want to be seen that way. I don't want my daughter to be seen that way. Like, I wouldn't go anywhere with my sister. Not that she would ever, not that they would ever, but like,
Mhm.
with a bonnet on your head. Like,
Yeah.
I just think your pajamas and those types of things, those are like, that's intimate wear. When you
Yeah.
buy it in the store, those are called intimates.
Called
Like,
intimate. Exactly.
because they are made to be private. Like,
Or intimate situation, right, at home. I know somebody who doesn't even come out of their bedroom with their bedroom clothes on. They're like, you
right.
can't even go in the kitchen with, pajamas or a bonnet on your head. Like, you have to prepare yourself for even going into certain parts of your home
Oh wait, hold
because
on.
of, being, clean, basically. So yeah.
He said, but isn't it just a hair covering? I said on a post, brothers used to wear do-rags that match their clothes. It's not much different. Not feeling PJs outside though.
No,
I have to say
different.
this.
And I don't agree with do-rags in public.
I was about to say, I've never been in favor of the do-rags in public either. I don't care how many colors of them you have. Like, they were never really made to be outside wear. Like, do-rags, you put those on your head at night, so when you take them off, your waves is popping. Like, right. So, like, getting them in different colors and continuing to wear them into the day kind of is the same premise as getting your hair done and then wearing a bonnet all day.
Yeah. Now I will say, like, the young boys, like at the school, like for track meets and stuff, the boys would wear their do-rags during the track meet or whatnot. I'm not a fan of that. I don't think it's the best idea, but I think some of them are trying to keep their hair intact. And I've seen girls do things, to pull, to keep their hair intact at their meets. But just generally walking around, a bonnet is honestly it's sleepwear. It's what we do to keep our hair intact while we're sleeping. And it's just, I mean, another part of that is rollers in public. I can't, and I know girls don't do rollers the way that we used to, like with the pink foamy rollers, but that would drive me bananas even when I was younger. I'm like, girl, if you don't take them rolls out your head, like, can we not?
But to Tawan's point, I think that's just the thing. Like, guys went from wearing do-rags at night to buying different colors and wearing them all day. Girls went from wearing bonnets at night to wearing them all day. Like, and then it went from the bonnets to the pajamas. I think, like, the line, there's no boundaries. There's no line of stop anywhere in sight. We just keep going further and further to the left. Pastor Jackson said, I think we have a generation of young people who don't want to be held to rules. Right. Dressing, speaking, respect, etc. Sometimes it's because of how the adults in their lives have treated them, maybe trying to fit in with others. You're right. I will agree with that. Like, nobody wants to be told anything. Like, I've even, been at a job and they're like, they're not saying nothing to me today.
Right.
What? Like, what? I don't.
And we call it not conforming to, what other people want us to be or what other people want, how people want us to think, look, feel, act, and dress. And there are certain things that it's not necessarily conforming, but it's making yourself presentable, making yourself the best you that you can be. And when you come out the house looking any kind of way, that's not your best you.
Right.
When you don't take time to take care of your personal hygiene before you step out of your home, that's not your best you. That's not the best presentation of who you are in any situation. When you can't take a few minutes to brush your hair, comb your hair, brush your teeth, wash your face, put on a pair of pants and, you know, put on a pair of shoes so that you can exit your home, you're showing the lack of care for yourself.
Right. And you know, a lot of times when I see that, um, I question, did you wash your face and brush your teeth? Because clearly you in your pajamas. You didn't take off nothing, you slept in. So I was supposed to believe that you don't wash your face, brush your teeth, even taking a shower for the day, and you took
Right.
a shower and put all that stuff back on. So when you see it, yeah, I think you definitely do think that you missed a few steps for the day.
Yeah.
Trina said, dress appropriately for where you're going, right? And not just going as in, you know, destination, but the direction you're going in. Like, don't you want to be better?
Yeah.
You know, don't and dress for how you want to be seen. Like,
Right. Have you ever seen the videos of the differences between how girls get dressed for Target versus how they get dressed for Walmart?
oh yeah.
I'm like, dress for Target every day. Like, can we not dress for
Yeah. I don't understand. Like, I you know, it puzzles me how we've become so comfortable just with anything. Like,
Yeah.
there's no standards. And I get being an individual. You know, everybody say, I'm different. And, you know, we all have some level of uniqueness to us. But are you really that different when I can count 10 other girls that look like you in here? Like,
Right.
I don't know. Like, for me personally, it's a no for me.
Yeah.
It would definitely be a no. But again, like, that's my personal stance. You know, as far as, like, I know in her video she was saying, like, oh, you know, when you see a sister, you know, tap on her shoulder. And I'm like, yeah, because once I tap on her shoulder, then I might have to tap on her forehead. Because now, you know what I'm saying? Now that I done tried to be nice and you cussing, now the tapping has gone to another level.
Right.
So
yeah.
I don't think you should be out here, you know,
Just
trying to
Tapping
tell
random people.
right. Hey, sweet babies. You're gonna be doing a video trying to figure out how to sue Monique when you out here trying to tell people, oh, you know what to do. And I would say, even for this platform, you know, it is never our goal to tell anybody what you should or should not be doing. It is never our goal to put anybody down, to make you feel bad. We are here just to offer a different option. That's, you know, maybe make you see something in a way that you had not previously. That is our goal, and always to uplift our community and help everybody, you know, raise your standards a little bit, come up a little higher. Maybe for the last 30 years you've done it this way, but could there possibly be a chance that
Another way.
there's a better way to do it?
Yeah.
Or just a different way. Maybe you don't want to hear the word better. Maybe there's a different way, you know, that it could be done to even lead you to different results. So that is, like, always our goal. You know, I don't want anybody to feel like, well, they said to me, nope, it's not what we say. It's not what we saying. And that's how you're comfortable. By all means, that is between you, yourself, and you. Like, you know, the three of y'all got to work that thing out. But I want to see our community as a whole do better. I want to see, you know, we throw around, oh, queen this and hey, queen, and now everybody's a queen. You know, let's look the part. Let's look the part. Let's, you know, let's be that. Let's not just throw the terms around. Let's really strive to be those terms.
Yeah.
And don't always shoot the messenger, or what they say, throw the baby out with the bathwater.
Right.
Sometimes even a broke clock can be right twice. But twice a day?
Twice a day.
So even, you know, even somebody that you may not respect at all, or that you may not even like, that doesn't always discount what they're saying. I can be right and wrong all at the same time. Like, you know, I could be right about what I'm saying, but you know, my delivery may suck, or previously I did something that you didn't like. There's so many scenarios that you can attach, but our hope is that you don't miss the message.
Right.
Be diligent enough to search for the message in the dirt, because sometimes it is covered with dirt. Sometimes people have all the wrong methods, the wrong intentions. Sometimes people, say things for all kinds of reasons.
Right.
But look for the truth of the message in everything. That's what I want to say. Like our elders, people that have been around a little longer than you, they've seen a little more possibly than you've seen. They've experienced a little more than possibly you've had. I always try to think of it from that point. Like maybe you've been through something that I didn't. And so that's why you feel this way. Maybe that's why you see it this way. Because, I don't really see it this way, but, I'll consider it.
Yeah.
Also, I wanted to say, even when I think about Monique, and we think about, the last few years, she's had a lot of very interesting scenarios happen. And I think some of, her new perspective is based on some of the things that she went through. Because remember, she was very adamant about, this is who I am and this is how I do it. And now she's all sweet babies, honey loves, hey, my sister girls. So even that is, an evolution of who she is. So let's not miss. Go ahead.
Yeah. Experiences come and they humble us sometimes.
Right.
They cause us to sit back and take a look at how we present and how we listen and how we hear. Because even I watched like 2 or 3 videos from that, and she talked about some people that kind of pulled her coattails.
Right.
And kind of told her to calm it down just a little bit and to handle this and to handle that and to consider, what she was doing and how she was doing it. So, yeah. And I think we all need that. Sometimes we have people in our lives that come for that purpose to help us realize, okay, listen, you're doing this wrong, and this is a better way. This is another way to get to the same, end goal. You have to, kind of refocus on what you're doing.
I should have known it was gonna be you. Her new persona came after she didn't get the Netflix money she thought she deserved. After that, she had to eat some humble pie, and now we're her sweet babies. Right, but like Shanetta said, experience is a real teacher. Those experiences will teach you what not to do and what you should do. So you're right. It definitely was after she experienced some things. And I mean, and if you think about it, that's kind of how change comes about. We go through experiences, things happen to us, things happen around us, and it generally brings about some sort of change, some sort of, evolution. So listen, I'm not mad at her. If she want to sweet baby people to death, then, by all means, I say go for it. Like I said, I definitely agree with a lot of what she said. I think even her delivery was gentle. She wasn't raunchy. She wasn't upset. She wasn't angry. I think it came from a sincere place. That's just me. I could be wrong. I mean, aside for the sweet babies, I think there was some genuine sincerity there. As a Black woman, I do feel like when you see the girl down one aisle that looks like that, and then you come around the aisle and you see me, I often feel like no matter what I look like, all you see is that.
Yeah.
Like that's what's stuck or ingrained in your head. Even this morning, the Brothers of Legacy, they went over that Procter & Gamble commercial. So in the commercial, it starts off, you see like these young boys that go into a deli, they kind of rowdy. Some other boy, he, leaned in a car, he's driving, go into somebody's house. It's a pregnant lady. She's holding like one kid hand, and I think she has like groceries, and she's standing like at the curb. And then the commercial says something like, when you see this, I know you've already had some kind of narrative in your mind or one perception. And then the commercial keeps going, and the boys in the store, they're waiting for a friend who come in, he's got money and they're paying for their stuff, and there's no problem. And the guy in the car, I think he's like goes to an older woman's house. He's taking her groceries. And even the pregnant girl that's at the curb, her husband, what I'm assuming, I don't know, it's a commercial. He's pulling up the car, for her to get in it. And, the commercial is actually questioning your perception of what you see. Because when you see those things, you automatically have one image stuck in your head. Right. So, I think about that when you see the girls with the pajamas and the bonnets, immediately you think one thing. And although you could be wrong, that's what you see.
Stuck. Yeah.
Yeah. That perception of who those people are is kind of what we get stuck on. And we all have to work on, our perceptions of people. He said, on a side note, you ladies got to hold a special place on the entertainment side of my brain if I tuned into you instead of watching the playoffs. Brothers of Legacy got to step it up. Thank you, Tawa. I love you. I appreciate that so much. And I'm definitely going to rub that in with Anthony. I will make sure. Hold on. I need to take a picture of this so that I can rub it in. Oh, yeah. Listen, you just made my night. This is giving me bragging rights. This is definitely giving me bragging rights. But yeah, it's important. I think in Monique's defense, it's important for us women to stand up and say, look, it's not all of us. Yeah. Or, look, we don't all think it's okay.
Yeah.
I think that, as a woman, sometimes it is good to stand up and say that, we aren't all the same. There are differences. And not that all the women that wear bonnets and pajamas, not that they're bad people. To be honest, they could be smarter than me. They could even be more successful than me. Yep. So it's not a dig as to who they are as people. But the presentation is just jacked.
Right. Yeah. And sometimes we're going through something, but like you still have to, just take that 1 minute to, not look like you're going through, everything that you're going through. Just take that 1 minute to, you don't have to put on a full face of makeup. You don't have to put on your Sunday's best. I have an aunt who won't go to the grocery store unless she's wearing a pair of heels and her mink coat in the wintertime. But you don't have to do all that.
Wow. Go ahead, Auntie.
It's for real. But not that you have to do all of those things, but there are some things that you can do to kind of make yourself, presentable for the general public.
Listen, I will make a confession. Every Tuesday, whatever I do, I've done in the daytime, I come home and, I done made dinner, and sometimes I will eat dinner with my kids. Sometimes I won't. But I'm like totally relaxed. A lot of times I might even put on some pajamas, a head rag, all of that. And then by 8:00, I'm like, oh, I got to get up. And I'm running and I'm taking the rag off and I'm washing my face and trying to put on some lipstick and, find a shirt. And every week my daughter's like, Mom, it's just alive. I'm like, yeah, but people see me.
Right.
Like I have to tell her, look, but people are going to see me. Like, I can't look like I look in the house, looking like I just rolled off the couch to get on here.
Right.
So, I'm always grabbing some lipstick and trying to, I always tell her I need to beat the ugly off my face, before I go live. And it's, right. Like, it's important, that I do that I show her, that example. So much that even tonight I was still sitting on the floor. The power had went out, and right before the power went out, I was on the floor, and she's like, Mom, you gotta get ready for your broadcast. And I'm like, oh, I'm so tired. Then I get up, I go in the room, and then the power went out. And I'm like, yes, the Lord heard me say I was tired. And as soon as the power jumped back on, and it's like, okay, you need to get yourself together.
Hurry up, hurry up.
Right. So that fast, is back to get myself together. But I think for me, it's important how I present myself. I feel like sometimes the way you look can be so loud that people can't hear what you say. And that could be in a good way and a bad way. Like sometimes it's just too much makeup. They can't hear nothing but all the shellac on your face. So, that can kind of go both ways. But I want to present my best self, to you guys. Even if it's from one viewer to however many, I want to always try to put my best foot forward. So I take that extra 10 minutes and be in the bathroom trying to get my life together. And I think it's important, when we leave the house to present our best selves. Never mind, who cares how people see it, never mind for people, but just yourself. Like, I want to feel good about me. So, I take that extra time. And I think that's extremely important.
Agreed.
Yes. So we can't say whether we agree or disagree with the video. Our position is that there were several good points. And so, as I said, let's not miss the message due to the messenger. There are some elders in our community that have a wealth of knowledge, that have lots to share. We just have to be willing to listen. You'll never know what you don't know. Right. You never know what you don't know. So it can't hurt to kind of be sensitive to the older generation and be willing to listen and take just a little bit more time. So thank you guys for joining us, Tawan. You have made my night. I can't wait to rub it in his face. I'm gonna make sure I put that in the comments in the morning. Thank you guys for joining us. We will be back next Tuesday at 8:30. Actually, we have a big surprise next Tuesday. We're doing something a little bit different, and it is going to be very exciting. So thank you very much for joining us, and we will see you next week. Until then, be safe.